everyone. It's nice to connect with you all. We're just over 3 weeks into lockdown, and I'm only just feeling well enough to manage this. So it's good. It's good to be up and about. I've had low-grade virus symptoms, I'd say. So Beethoven 6 for strings. That's what I'm here for, and just in general, I'd like to say I think it's really exciting, and it's a really great kind of challenge for us string players. It is really challenging, but it's really also really playable, and I think it's going to be really good for us. I'd also like to say that I think it will be a really good thing if we can all do more practice than we normally do and get really on top of this, so that when we come back to rehearsing that we'll all know these parts really, really well. And hopefully, I really hope that we'd feel that we know the parts so well that we can enjoy ourselves much more and really make that the kind of pattern moving forward, that we'd actually learn our notes before we play together. Anyway, getting down to a bit more detail, I think I've got 3 general sort of points to make for string players that I'd like to say. Firstly, tuning. We really want everybody to play as well in tune as we possibly can, and my strategy for that is to have a good fingering. So work out a fingering. Don't just do the first fingering that occurs to you, which probably be first and third position. In this piece in particular, especially the sections in F and C and B flat and stuff, second position is extremely useful. So make the most of it, get to know it, use it, practice it, mark the shifts in. Don't write fingers on everything, but mark the shifts and then really practice that fingering, so that you're really on top of it. And you cannot do too much slow practice in order to be really well in tune. The second thing is the articulation or the bowing, which kind of is sort of one and the same for us string players. So make sure that you're doing the bowing, doing the right bowing, and that you understand how that bowing works, where you need to be in which part of the bow you need to be in to get the right kind of sound. And I'll be showing you some of those things in a moment. And then thirdly, I think would be the dynamics. Beethoven's dynamics are quite extreme, and I really want you to try and go for the extremes without losing the clarity or the beauty. That's all. Quite hard, I'm sure. So that's my sort of initial thoughts, but then I'm going to just show you a few bits. Okay, so I'm hoping by now that you'll have a part printed off and that you'll have the bowing all marked in. So in the process of circulating, but by the time you see this, hopefully you'll all have had that. So I'm just going to play you, to begin with, the first 3 lines and then have a little chat about those things. Okay, so we've got that motif, haven't we, which comes again and again and again throughout this movement. So it's a question of getting all those staccatos really neat and obviously grading that crescendo. So you start with a tiny amount of bow, but you have to pick up the bow in between each one after the slur as well. So if you went, then that wouldn't be short enough. So and then obviously more bow, more bow, more bow until you get to the loud, and then come down again. Let me play some of the loud stuff. Okay, so there's a few bits where the staccatos are a little bit further down the bow. You have to be really careful to keep those nice and short. And obviously when we change the bow mid-slur, then we've got to try and make it as smooth as possible. And then the next section is just after A. So try and make sure absolutely everything's shaped off, and the last notes actually don't have dots on in that little sequence. So make sure it's absolutely beautiful and not sort of crash on it or anything. And then now this is the beginning of a really long crescendo, so you've got to absolutely grade it. The first really tricky bit, I mean, it's really important to get nice fingerings for those smooth bits so you can negotiate the string crossings nicely. Then the first really nasty bit, 111 with the triplets. So I found I had to practice that a lot to get the string crossings clean. Triplets are always a bit more difficult, but obviously we want it nice and big. But to get it clean, you definitely do need to practice that slowly. And also that's where one of those places where second position's really coming in handy for your C octaves. And then obviously here, letter D. So absolutely the same, dum dee dum 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 dee dum bum. Always graded as well there. Now the one particular bit which I had to practice a lot, 2, 4, 7, where the first have some nasty semiquavers. So it's tiny, tiny bows, but again, slow practice until your muscles will just do that. I mean, I really couldn't play it that fast straight away. It took me that long. I don't know how long it took me. Several goes at practicing it really, really, really slowly to get it into your muscles. And then we've got the smooth triplets at 2, 8, 9. Okay, so there is pianissimo for 4 whole bars. So absolutely don't crescendo. If anything, maybe diminuendo before that, and then there's a big crescendo. So this precision of the dynamics, really important to get a good fingering in that triplet section. Again, try not to shift too much, but obviously you've got to coordinate those string crossings. And then there's some this bit here. This is just before I, where we have to go. So Steve's given me permission to have a little moment to take the bow off and come back. Otherwise, we won't. The two little triplets will sound different each time if we do them at different ends of the bow. So, but absolutely only come off on the first beat of the bar. So 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. And on it goes. And then these chords here. So play 2 notes, bottom 2 or top 2. You really don't need to spread the whole chord, but we do want to spread the chords at the very end of the movement. Yeah, so spreading the chords, making the most beautiful sound that you possibly can. Okay, I don't think I'm going to play you bits of the slow movement, but just suffice to say that there's quite a lot of different ornaments, and the various trills with the turns at the end. Some of them don't have turns. Some of them, I think, rather than pointing all those out, I think if you listen to various recordings, you'll probably get the hang of how most of those grace notes are supposed to go. There's a few that are on the beat just before C. Yadda-da, yadda-da, or on the beat, like a semiquaver triplet. There's an awful lot of this. I think probably even more so in the seconds and violas. But so figure out where your sort of balancing point is with your bow, and just try and get yourself, when you've got string crossings to do that sort of bowing, you've just got to get your bow nicely balanced and just try and stay as relaxed as you can. It can make your right arm ache quite a lot doing that. And it's very, very quiet all the way along there. That's letter C. There's some nasty bits, different keys we're moving through. Letter E. We've got some C flats and F flats, so just be careful, figure out your fingering, what you're doing. Yeah, more of that stuff. Lots and lots of arpeggio work. Yeah, so I think that's enough from me, enough sort of my twiddling around, but what I'm hoping to set up, and hoping that we might manage to do, is to have a string sectional on those first 2 movements on Zoom. Certainly the first movement I'm pretty sure will work okay. I'm not so sure about the second. I haven't quite figured out how it will work best, but I think it would be really nice on a Wednesday night to try as many as possible to join us, and the idea being that I could play and then sing the gaps. All of you would have to be muted with headphones or earphones or whatever, so that you can have a good sound, and then play along. Basically, I know it won't be like playing along with the Berlin Phil as Steve suggested, but still, hopefully, really good for us, and I think really good for us to be able to hear our own sounds primarily, because I think we'll really find out where we are or we aren't on top of things. Yeah, so I really look forward to that. It'd be really nice to see a whole gallery of you playing along, even though we'll be a bit out of sync. So good luck, everyone. Have some fun practicing that, trying to make it absolutely beautiful all the time, whether we're loud or soft, and get it really nice and tidy and accurate. And hopefully see you really soon. Okay, bye for now.